Hello, everyone. Monday. Good morning. It's only 12 p.m. Who's with me? In North America, it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome, welcome. We're a group of people that constantly search to improve our lives. And as we come to understand, this is a lifelong process, and the progress is slow but steady if you keep at it. Welcome, welcome. The people who are generally with me on this lives, they've been with me for a while and they tune in at the same time. I sort of do this 1 hour coaching a week for everyone, for out there. I'm putting it out there. I'm contributing into the universe. I'm contributing to people, and I hope you can get something out of it. It would give me and everybody else an inspiration and a great pleasure to hear you're having success by implementing what we're discussing here. Please send me your stories. You guys have been quiet on the stories this week. I'm not sure why, maybe because the kids are back to school and everyone is really busy, but in general, we have a lot of stories. We have a manifestation challenge this week. I haven't done that in a while, and I decided to do a 2-level one, okay? So I want you guys, in your experience over the next week, to manifest a green car. Green is the color that's encountered the most seldom out there, so it's not a common color. It has to be green, and it has to have digit 4 in the license plate. Okay, are you with me? A green car with a 4 in the license plate. If it's a green car without the 4, you haven't manifested. If it's just a 4, but it's a different color, you haven't manifested. So this is called a 2-level manifestation. It has to, we're getting more and more specific. We haven't done a very specific one in a long time. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. This is, again, a life about mindsets, manifesting your ideal life via changing your inner self. I've done a couple of videos since the last live. I'm always live Monday at 12 p.m. But I've done a couple of videos that got some traction. One of them was about how you shouldn't interfere into anyone's evolution of consciousness. And I was talking about how there's a saying that no good deed goes unpunished, and how that's so true. The more you try to interfere in other people's lives, the more the universe gives you problems, so you stop interfering. In terms of helping people, I want you guys to understand that no matter what you think is right and wrong, if you're not asked to help, you do not interfere. So right away, this means people were always asking, like charities you can contribute to because they're always asking. Beggars on the street you can contribute to because they're always asking. Friends who seek your advice, people who come to you to talk to you about your work, or they need you in some way. You definitely should help, and the extent to which you help will determine your own progress in consciousness. But if your friend is dating a loser, and if that loser keeps hurting her, if you keep interfering and keep telling her to dump him over and over, maybe you can say it one time, but if you keep trying to help her when she's clearly not at the level of consciousness where she's learned this lesson, what's going to happen is you're going to be punished for it. If you go and financially support somebody who has not asked for this, okay, maybe you ease their way a little bit, but the problem is they don't learn important lessons about life or important lessons in their own evolution about something. Then you're doing them a disservice, and so you will be punished for it. What about people who ask but don't listen? This is a great question. You can only give them your advice one time. Okay, they ask, they don't listen. Okay, the next time they come, you say, my advice hasn't changed. I'm of the same opinion. I don't want to go in loops here with you. When you're ready to take my advice, you will. But my position hasn't changed. I have to say this all the time with people who are asking me about SPs. My position on the SP has not changed. It's the same. You go through 5 videos in my SP playlist, you'll know what the position is. The position is you shouldn't want someone who doesn't want you. And when you change enough your inner state to become valuable, you'll automatically not want them. So while that person doesn't want you, you are in a position where you're chasing them, right? Even energetically, you're chasing them. What happens is you haven't increased your value yet, so they can't come to you. They can't. You're the same person that they didn't want. right? So whatever spells and candles and writing his name 3 times you're doing, it might work temporarily because you might be able to hack their consciousness. We're all on a network. You guys understand we're all on a network, right? And consciousness can be hacked temporarily because you're not going to be able to pour enough energy to sustain it forever. This is why exes come back and they leave, come back and they leave. They come and they tell you the exact same things you wrote down, and then they leave you again and hurt you again, right? Because the irony is that if you changed yourself enough, you will look at that person who wants them and who does spells to keep them as a pathetic person. Your value has increased from here to here, and so you can't, you're like, Woody, unless this guy comes crawling on his own, like crawling back and with rings, flowers, candies, and insists, that's when you maybe pay attention, but otherwise no. So here's the stuff, the way I help. I never change my advice, right? I have this definitive ideas about life, about a way to live that is most efficient and most effective. And if you deviate from that, that's okay, because that's your evolution of consciousness. But when you come back to me, I'm not going to give you a different advice. And so it's important, okay? Because a lot of people have problems in their lives because they're interfering into other people's lives. And the way I run this thing, right? Like I have this thing which I run here. It's with the universe. You guys will never get an email from me. You guys will never get a message from me. I'm never going to offer you anything. If you need me, you have to come to me. You have to come seek my advice. You have to come, book a session with me or whatever. But I will not offer you anything. I will not contact you because I understand. Like I have a lot to give, but if I impose it on you, I will get punished. And I don't want that, right? Anybody who does energy work, who's actually real at this, would know this and would not spam, send emails, ask you to come get a tarot reading or whatever it is they're doing. They don't know what you need. Only you have your own trajectory. Only you can rise yourself up to know what you need if you want something else. I'm angry with a friend that triggers me. Should fight them or is just me? You shouldn't be surrounded by friends who trigger you. What about people? Here's the thing. What about people who don't listen but keep expecting support when they suffer the consequences? Yeah, the only people like that you have an obligation towards is your children, right? If your teenager didn't listen, got her heart broken, yeah, well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna be there. But if it's random friends that waste your time, ask yourself, what is it about myself and my own evolution of consciousness that I haven't fixed yet? Always bring everything that happens to you back to yourself because you are the input. You are the input into the system, right? So when you bring the attention back to yourself, you're like, why is this circumstance looping in my life where people need me like this? They don't take my advice, I'm being ignored, and then they need me. They're draining my energy. Why? Is it because I'm not good at focusing my energy in a certain direction? Because if you take that energy, remember, the energy is unlimited, but the object to which it flows, which is our larger energetic system, and then even our finite body, it limits this amount of energy. So you only get a certain amount based on your openness, based on how you cultivate your larger matrix, and of course based on the health of your body, which is interconnected with the larger matrix that's around your body. So the amount of energy that flows to you, this is how you have to think of it, is limited. Is limited. What you do with it matters. It matters. So if you do all this work, you work here with our group, you meditate, you do your stuff, you're increasing your energy. But then the reason you're increasing your energy is for more people to feed off of you, or for the same people to feed off of you more often, right? Because they're not listening. Ask yourself, what is it that's trying to stop my growth? Why can I go further? Why is every time I try to go further, there's this energetic leeches that leach onto my system and drain me, and I need to spend 2 hours unfolding? See how you feel. I find myself that when I give the same advice over and over to friends, and I don't do that anymore for many years, but when I did, I often felt really bad physically afterwards, like very drained, very tired, just from having a coffee with someone, just by talking to someone, Just by check your energy system will always tell you where you're at. Okay, the reality we experience is always what we feed into the system. We are the input. You are the input, right? You alone provide the input. And what happens is the current moment is the output, and so is all of your past. So what happens is a lot of people are focusing in the current moment, and they're like, oh yeah, they misunderstand this thing. The present is the moment of power. The present is the moment of power to compose the future. The present is not the moment of power for you to change anything in the present. You can't. The present is the output. You can never change anything, and people and events and circumstances. That's not the power that you have in manifesting. And I want you to really, really be very clear on this. You have to accept everything that is today, as of today. This is the output. This is the whatever happened in the past, whatever it is today, it's been the output. And now, if you want a different output, you have to compose it purposely, project it out there, stay focused on it, and give your attention to it. Now, 3D will try to distract you constantly. Will try to distract you. How? Will try to distract your point of focus, and you have to catch it in that moment. If you caught it later on that night, it's not good enough because you are already rattled. Let me give you an example. It happened to me this morning. So I'm going to an appointment. I had an appointment at 10. And I have this bad habit of checking my email when I get in the car. I don't know why. It's like when I'm in the car, I can't do anything about my email. So I'm trying to cut this bad habit. And, unless I'm in front of my computer, I really don't have the time to deal with anything. I shouldn't be looking at my email. And I get this invoice from this legal firm that I used to dissolve a company, but I already paid them. And I'm like really annoyed that right now the charges seem higher. And I'm like, they didn't do this work. I don't know what's happened. I already dissolved that company last year. Why are they sending me this invoice? And so I'm about to drive my car, and my point of focus has already changed. Just by this action of doing something unnecessary, of looking at my email. If I was at my computer, I would have right away taken the receipt, send it to them, and be done with it in 5 minutes. But because of this, I'm annoyed. I'm starting to drive. I'm like, started to think in advance how I'm going to compose an email, how I'm going to complain. I don't have the time to deal with this. Why are you sending me this invoice? So I'm already living a negative future in my present, and I'm projecting this outwards, right? Because right now I'm anticipating my rage, that I'm going to rage on these people because they made this mistake and whatever. They're bothering me, they're inconveniencing me, but I'm living it in the now. So in the now, I'm only projecting more of this in the future. Get it? So I catch myself while I was having this feeling, even though up to then I was having a very chill morning. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly, I got to tell my group this. This is exactly how it happens. And maybe you remember this at the end of the day. But you see, in those 5 minutes that I was living this, I'm already rattled. My point of vibration has changed. And maybe it has destroyed a lot of the things that I created. So for this, what's the mistake here? Well, the mistake here is, number one, do not have habits that can lead to this type of consequences. So me checking my email in the car, I'm really trying to move away from this. Okay, and I don't check it always, but there's nothing that important based on how long I'm outside my desk, right? There's nothing that important. I'm not a brain surgeon. Everything can be dealt with when I am focusing on that specific work. And so that's one thing, the habit. The second part is you got to catch yourself, and you got to be like, no, I'm not going to let this change anything for me. And there's no point for me to think about this now when I can deal with it whenever I deal with it. And this goes for relationships too. Okay, you get a text from your significant other. He's very annoying. He's telling you, he's going out after work, but you need him to pick up the kids and take the kids to their game. And you're really annoyed in that moment. But you really know he's in meetings and you can't deal with this until he comes home. So like right now already, your whole point of vibration is changed because there's a situation that you can't deal with it until later. And what you're going to do is you're going to stay in that state. That's what people do. They stay in that state even though they're powerless in that moment. And I'm going to tell you, if you can't do something about you being annoyed right now, you need to immediately and purposely put this aside. Like as a mental, you take this object, this situation, and you put it aside. Okay, every time you're annoyed, and it's normal, we're gonna be annoyed, we're gonna be angry about certain things, or it's got to be a situation that you can deal with right now, that you can resolve right now. Right now, you're gonna resolve it. Somehow, you're gonna take an action towards resolving it, or you need to take it and be like, okay, I'm gonna not think about this now. I'm gonna think about this between 5 and 6 p.m. when I'm gonna, ask the universe to maybe give me a solution between now and then, or change certain things between now and then. Let me see if I missed anything. Yes, for example, before bed, I used to remember the past and be triggered by myself. Yeah, and this is horrible, right? Before bed, when you're supposed to be in that Zen state that you're imagining your lifestyle and your future in the lifestyle that you want to have, instead of that, you're going through conversations that you had during the day, you're remembering someone that triggered you, maybe something better that you should have said comes to you. You're like, damn, now you're hard on yourself too. Now you have guilt and shame that you didn't deal with that situation better. Please remember, the past and even the current moments do not matter because they're the output of previous inputs. You can't change anything right now, today, in the things that, like, I can't change this environment that I'm in right now. Okay? I can't. Because this has manifested as, the lifestyle that I've been contemplating. And if I want to change anything, I'm using the current moment to access information from the future. Past and future are only a state of information. You live in the present now and you decide what you access. You access this information or you access that information. And remember, this information is fixed. That information is multiple streams of information. So that information, you can go on whatever trajectory you want to go, but you got to stick to it. You can only do it from the current moment. So if in the current moment I feel rejected, unwanted, poor, I can't see any opportunities, any solutions, okay? And if that's how I'm feeling, that's the trajectory I'm choosing. It doesn't mean that if I'm not consciously saying I want to be poor and rejected, then I won't be. No, I will be, because this is what I'm projecting, right? The game of life is always how you focus. Exactly. It's just data, okay? You have to be mindful and deliberate about what you input in the system, right? The results is a response to your thoughts, to your sustained thoughts and beliefs. Did I miss anything? Okay, so your true power only lies in using the current moment to shape, to define a future, to define yourself into the future. That's your only power in the game of life. I just want to be very clear on this. You got to go higher level. You can't be like, oh, I want to, how can I make this employer call me back, and how can I make my SP, tell me that he loves me, and none of that, right? You have to go one step higher, like a higher level, like an observer of the future you in your future life. And very important, you cannot change your mind often about this. Okay, it's normal at first. You'll take a few months doing this work and you might realize what you're envisioning is not really what you want, because as we become truthful with ourselves, we realize a lot of what we want are mental societal construct, right? It's not really what we want. Many people think they want the same thing. I want, a house in the suburbs and 3 kids and a husband and this type of job and work from home. But when they get down to it and when they do the mental exercise, they kind of feel like giving up on it because it doesn't really make them happy. That image doesn't really make them happy. So it's not that it's going to be the same thing for everybody. So it's normal. You'll change your mind maybe in the first few months, but afterwards, once you kind of narrow it down, you have to stay with it. You can't deviate. You can't be like, yeah, I want this, but maybe this would also be okay. Yeah, I want to live in Japan, but maybe it would be okay if I, live in Croatia as well. Like maybe, like you got to stay focused on the lifestyle that attracted you to Japan, if that's what resonates with you. Just be very extreme clarity, right? Extreme clarity. Because remember what happens, like as we're surrounded by this matrix of energy, what we're doing with our clarity, we're creating coherence in the information within the matrix. So in most people just have enough coherence to keep the past going. to keep more of the past going, right? Because the past is the only coherent thing that they can think about. They remember the past, they remember what it's like, let's say going on dates, and they have more of those dates, more of the same thing, more of the same day at work. That's the only thing that they have clarity on. It's the past. And so to create clarity into a future and stick with that clarity is not easy. I tell everyone who comes to this work that it's not easy, because if you believe it's not easy, you're actually much more likely to stay motivated and put in the work than if you think, oh, this is going to be so easy for me. I do 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, 9. I write 2 pages every day and I'm going to get what I want. When you don't get it, you're going to be like, this doesn't work. I am getting more of the past. Yeah, because you have clarity on the past. That's what you have clarity on. How can we always be motivated and not so anxious about the future? By realizing that your input determines the future. And so it's not about motivation. It's about taking responsibility. Your motivation is in proportion to how much you want a future that's different than your past. If you don't do anything, you're going to have more of the past or worse. Right? Because systems, if you don't pour energy in the systems, in general, anything in this life, if you don't pour energy into something, what's going to happen is that system is going to devolve. It's not going to evolve, but it's also not going to stay the same. It's not. That's why people devolve through life. You're supposed to evolve through life. Yeah, okay, our bodies maybe get more wrinkles or whatever, but we're not supposed to go down like that. You're not. You're supposed to be better at 45 than you were at 25. You're supposed to be wiser, stronger mentally, making better decisions. Maybe, okay, you have some more lines on your face, but really you're still supposed to be super strong in the body. You're supposed to be able to do all the things you want to do. But society tells you the opposite. They tell you your peak is 25, and if you missed it, nobody's going to want you for marriage. Your employment, unless you have a career by 30, forget about it. All this society, all of this is just programming. And so what people do, they give up. They give up. They don't take responsibility for their future, and everything goes down because a system that's not maintained, that's not poured into and increased will decrease. Everything goes through entropy. Everything, a system you don't tend to, goes to entropy. So it devolves. So I want you guys to be very clear about this. If you want more of the past or worse, then don't do anything. If you want better than the past, then you got to do something intentionally and every single day, pretty much every single day. At least, at the very least, catch your triggers and understand that they're just triggers. They're meant to take you away from your power. Okay, they're energy drainers. That's how the system gets your energy. And that's at the very minimum you should do. Have the awareness of what's happening to you, because these are things that are happening to you, but you're allowing by being ignorant. By the way, the universe does not care that you don't know these laws and that you're ignorant, that nobody taught you, or that you're a 10-year-old child and don't understand these things. It doesn't care. Maybe it should, but it doesn't. And so ignorance of these laws will lead you in the same place as if you know them and you don't do it. It doesn't. It's up to you to learn them. It's up to you to search for this. And yeah, you're right. Some people never even think of this, never even have the opportunity, but it doesn't mean they're excused from the same consequences. Universe is a neutral machine. You guys understand that, right? The universe is not God. We talked about this. Okay, last time we talked about money, and my lives are always posted on my YouTube channel because they're more like coaching sessions. So if you guys want to see some of the previous ones, my YouTube channel is under the same handle at Final Manifestation. But we talked about money. I left you with a few money exercises to do, and I want to sort of continue our conversation that we had on money because I don't think it was enough. Okay, so with the money, okay, it doesn't matter. Like, remember, your current and past results don't matter. It don't matter in love, in money, in health, in anything. None of this matters. This was just a result of the input. So that's number one. If your current beliefs about money have something to do with how money has gone for you so far, then you have the wrong beliefs about money. Should I say this again? If what you think about money, how it comes, how easy it is, what you deserve, has to do with your current results, you have the wrong belief about money. Okay? You have the wrong paradigm, because that paradigm is saying that's all you can do and you're going to have more of this. And if you just want to have more of what you have right now, I mean the same, more days of the same, then you can continue on. If you don't, you have to do something about it. Okay? Number one, you got to do everything possible to convince yourself that what you have in the bank right now does not matter. What you produced before, yearly income, does not matter. None of this matters. And I want you to contemplate 3 questions, okay, that I wrote down for you here. Number one, to change your paradigms about money. These are the 3 most important questions, okay? Number one is how much is available. How much money is available out there? Because if you think all the money is being held by, whatever they tell you, 100 families and 100 billionaires or 3,000 billionaires, whatever it is, and they only give everybody else an employment salary, and it's only limited by whatever ideas you have. If you have this idea, that you're not going to think the pie is big enough. So number one, you have to understand, we talked about this many times, money is unlimited because it's an expression of abundance. Money is unlimited because it doesn't come from people. It comes from the source. Whatever you're getting money from now, today, that's the vehicle through which the money comes. Your husband gives you money, your job gives you money, your parents give you money, your investments return money. Those are just vehicles. And all of these vehicles come and go. So if you are focused on the vehicle, of course you're going to have anxiety about the future, because your brain understands that these vehicles are not permanent. They're just temporary. So how much money is out there and who holds the power over this money is very important to train your brain that this money comes from the source. It doesn't come from your vehicles, and the source has an unlimited amount of abundance, therefore money, because abundance is expressed in our world via money. And so your ability is in creating not your ability. Your ability is, if you're connected to the source and to the source of abundance, then the vehicles will appear. Stop your focus on the vehicles. The vehicles don't matter. They can decrease, they can increase. Maybe you just get 1 check a year for a big amount of money. It doesn't really matter. Okay, you just do what is right to do. Thank you. You just contribute and you see how it goes. Okay, so when I get here and I do these things, I don't count my results in the amount of money. I don't. But overall, my money abundance increases all the time. And I know it's related to the contribution that I'm making. But it's not necessary that it will return from that exact contribution. What is necessary is the universal law of contribution. If you contribute, you will receive. How will you receive? Who knows? That's up to the universe. It's not up to you. So a lot of people, they start these businesses or they start something and they're like, Mona, how can I manifest, more in my business, more in my this? And I always ask them, what is it that your end goal is? I mean, my end goal is to make, whatever X amount. And I said, no. What is your end goal in doing this? What do you want to do? Do you have a product you believe in that you're selling to people? Do you have a service you believe in? Can you tell me how that contributes to the life of others? And then in the end, also part 2, can you describe to me why you want to have success by doing this? What is ultimately, 100 grand is just a digit in the computer. Ultimately, how would it change your lifestyle is the only thing that's important, right? How you contribute, how your lifestyle would change. How you contribute, how your lifestyle would change. Those are the only 2 questions, okay? And the amount of money will follow. So we talked about number 1. How much money there is, unlimited. Where does it come from? The source, right? Not from your vehicle. Number 2, how does it come? Easy or hard, unexpected or not unexpected? So how does it come? I don't mean like for you to look for ways in which you can make it flow. I'm saying the opposite. It comes easy or it comes hard. What is your belief? It comes via if you put in 8 hours of work a day, or it comes no matter how much work you put. It comes expected. Like if I'm connecting with this client, I'm going to get X amount. I expect to get, to get my allowance from my parents or my husband, or does it come unexpected? How does it come? Easy, hard, expected, unexpected, all the time, or once in a while? That's also a deep belief you have in your mind. Everybody does. Everybody does, mostly based on how we observe our parents, how their money came. So that's number 2. And number 3, very important. Do I deserve it? How much do I deserve? And here I gave an exercise for people to do. I gave this like maybe last year or a few months ago. I said, take your hourly rate for what you do now or for what you'd like to do in your life. Okay, maybe right now you're a waitress, but you'd like to, you could be a great painter, graphic designer. Thank you guys. Thank you for all the roses. It's not necessary because I don't even know how to access these things. But thank you so much. If you just like my live or put a like on my live, it will be promoted. So I would appreciate that. But don't bother wasting money on this thing because I don't know what's happening with that. Okay. So what was I saying? Do I deserve it? So take your yearly, or your hourly salary rather, and or the amount of money you get for whatever you're selling, your painting, and double it. So double it. Let's say I'm a waitress and I'm making $15 an hour, okay? I'm gonna be like 15 is low, but I'm doing this for now, let me, in my ideal life, doing what I love, can I make $30 an hour? And you're like, yeah, I can make $30 an hour because, I'm this and that. Okay, can I make $60 an hour? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I have one more year of college and then I make $60 an hour as a professor. Can I make $120 an hour? $120? Would somebody pay me 120? You really have to be honest with yourself, okay? If you say yes, would somebody pay me for my skill set, for my presence, for your anything? Would they pay me $240 an hour? What about $480 an hour? What about $960 an hour? You double it, okay? You double it in your mind. Why? Because at some point, you're gonna reach that ceiling, okay? That total amount of goodness you can tolerate in your life, where you're gonna realize, I don't know, I can't. Nobody's gonna pay me that, either, a sugar daddy, either an employer, either my partner. I'm not worth that. There will always be that amount in anyone's life where they would feel uncomfortable receiving that. If you don't believe me, do this exercise very honestly with yourself. And so the question, do I deserve it? Am I deserving of this goodness that I want? When you're thinking of living in, that 5-bedroom home and villa with a pool, and you're from an apartment building, still living with your parents, when you do this income exercise, you'll realize that the value you place on yourself is not sufficient in order to go from here to there. There has to be an intermediate step for you, or 2 or 3 intermediate steps that are much more realistic. They're really good, but they're much more realistic for your paradigm to be able to swallow this and be like, yeah, I think we can go from here to here. Not from here to there, but from here to here. And so for people like this, do it step by step. Guys, I hope you're paying attention. This is very valuable information. And if you're going to take this and actually implement these exercises in your life, you're going to see a huge change inside. When you start seeing even smaller changes inside before it gets too huge, you're going to know it's working. Even if nothing changes on the outside, you're going to know it's working. That's how you know it's working. And he says, as I go up in salary, that's when I start tying it to think, hold on a second, it just disappeared, to think I'd have to give up too much of my time. Yeah, especially if you're a business owner. This happened to me in my 3D business. It's just, and it's true, right? Because when you do your business from 3D, the more time you give to it, the more money you make. But unfortunately, you realize that with all this money, you can't really leave the business. You can't, like, I couldn't even go somewhere for like a week. I couldn't do anything. And then, like, it's when the money is tied with your time like that, it's a total problem, right? So this is where you go back to, how does the money come? Easy, uneasy? How does the money come? Is it do I need to put in 12 hours, or can it come if I only put in 1 hour? Or can it come if I put 0 hours? Or do I need to put in 12 hours? Maybe you need to put in more. See what your brain answers, not what you want to believe. So sure, you all want to believe I can make the same amount at least, even if I put in 1 hour instead of 8 hours. Would all love to believe that. But you won't believe that just because I tell you to believe that. You have to ask your brain if it believes that. Ask your brain, do you believe that? And your brain will be like, no, I don't believe that if you're not at your desk for at least 7.5 hours, you can do this. Yeah, you tie it to time, exactly what I just said. Hard work pays off. It's all a paradigm. So step by step and then double it every step. No, you have to see when you get uncomfortable when you double. Double it now. Double it in your head. Take your salary and double it. You're making 80 grand. Do you think somebody would pay you? Are you worth 160? Would you feel uncomfortable if you got a job offer for 160? Would you be like, is this a scam? What if you double that? What if you get, whatever that is, 320? 320 make you uncomfortable? In your current self-image now, would that make you uncomfortable? At some point, that job offer will make you uncomfortable. And that's how you know your upper limit. It's called your upper limit, the maximum amount of goodness you can tolerate in your life at the current moment. And then you take this and you're like, yeah, that's why things aren't really changing. Now I need to work on my inner value. Now I need to release fear. I need to release guilt. I need to release shame. A lot of people have shame about making a lot of money. Does worth come from having a skill set, or just knowing that the individual is everything? I think worth comes from the contribution that you see having in the world. Okay, sometimes that contribution is to just one person. It doesn't matter, but it's a way that you contribute to someone else's life. And this applies to the most, like, let's say one of the women who is extremely pretty and, let's say, educated, can hold herself up in higher society, and it's looking for a provider man, like a billionaire. Okay, she still knows she has something to contribute to that man, so she's seeing her worth through that. Like, if that man didn't exist, you understand, like, her self-worth of being, like, if she was in a society on a different planet with just women, all of a sudden her whole value in that case would go away, right? Because there would be no contribution. Let's assume all these women are heterosexual. So you gotta think of it this way, right? Your value always somehow has something to do with the contribution that you have. And whether that translates into a skill set, it often does. Whether that translates in how much money you can make other people. This is very important also, right? This is very important. Let's say you have commission work. You have work in which you merge two companies together. And, maybe you work on it for intensely for 2 months, but you made that business owner, $6 million. Then that contribution that you've had immediately, you merged two companies, then you sold it all as one package and you increased the value by 6 million. It's not your 2 months of work is maybe worth, 200 grand, but really your work, your contribution is worth a lot more. So again, what you contribute to others, financially or otherwise, will be your measure of self-worth, what you contribute in this world. Alisa says, my brain hits the ceiling and starts telling me I'm not qualified now for good enough to make that. Yeah, there will be that ceiling. So here's where you need to take it step by step. I really believe when it comes to money, you have to go with your ceiling. If you try to manifest a large amount of money in the past and you've imagined yourself in that lifestyle and you've given it 2 years of this and nothing has changed, it's because of your self-worth. So do it step by step. a lot of people in my group, that's why we do the 60-day challenge. Every 60 days, you change something. You graduate to a new level. And people are telling me they're doing this. If you're part of my group, you know this. I am my 6th round of the 60-day challenge. I don't tell people this is lifelong work because then nobody would do it. So I tell them it's 60 days. But after 60 days, nobody would do 60 days 6 times unless they saw results, right? Unless they saw results. And when they see results, they like continue on with it. And the results are in proportion to the changes you can make. They're not in proportion to me. I give you all the tools. I give you the tools, personal tools in our group. I give you more high-level tools here. I want to contribute to the world, that the universe has been good to me, and this is the amount of your changes in your life have to do with you and have to do with how often you think about this, how often you practice everything. I want to know who has done all the exercises that I put forward in my last live, and I'm going to tell you, maybe it's like 3 people, even though like so many people watch that live. Let's see. Alyssa's on the 3rd round of the challenge. Every round there's growth, and I see and feel shifts. Yes, I promise you, you will. If you do my challenge, you will see. Okay, if you're doing my challenge to manifest a Lamborghini, don't bother. That's not how the Lamborghini comes. And you should really ask yourself if you want a Lamborghini, really, because like, for example, I don't. I think it would be highly embarrassing. Valerie's on round 4, yeah, but you're very serious about the work, and you've seen some significant changes there. But they all had to come from you, didn't it? Tell the other queens. Really, really, it was step-by-step realizations that came from you, wasn't it? Lisa says every round she sees changes. I can't wait to start my 5th round. I'd be finished by now if I didn't take a break. Don't worry. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't feel guilt and shame. Don't feel guilt and shame about it. You are where you are. And sometimes your system can't assimilate all these changes. It needs time to process it. It needs time. As long as you push ahead every day, remember, every day, if you do nothing else, if you don't have time to meditate, you just watch your triggers. See how often you can be in awareness. My lives and coaching sessions make a huge difference. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you so much. You're seeing changes in the break too? Yeah, because changes sedimentize. You can start by doing the 60-day challenge in my bio. If you join the group, stay in the energy, constantly connected. It's not one thing you do for 3 days and then you put aside. It's not like that. I've lost count of how many times I've done the challenge. Well, let's tell people it's only been out for about like maybe 15 months, so it's not like it's been around for 10 years, but it's inspired work, honestly. Like, it's if you guys don't know me, I went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza seminar in October 2022, and I had this experience in one of the meditations, and I was told I must do this group work for people, and I must contribute no matter if it paid or not or didn't pay. And because I realized the changes in me were so profound there and in my life and everything that's changed, but I realized that not everybody had that amount of money to go and be part of that energetic group, and I had to somehow create it at a level where people can afford, anybody could afford it. That was my inspiration. So I think like going to one of his seminars is like the fee was, I want to say like 2,200 US. The flight, the hotel, all together, I spent $6,000-7,000 just to go to a seminar. But it was a transformational experience. But people don't have that, and I want those people to have a chance to do some group work. Guys, when we do group work, what we're doing, and I'm holding the group energy together. You guys know we do weekly meditations together and stuff. We're knocking in the formless substance together. We're knocking with more power than one. Religion tells us this also. When one or more of you ask for something in my name, it will be done for them. It just got to be, sorry, when two or more of you. It has to be more than one. You showing up for us weekly is the most valuable part for me. You're incredibly gifted. Oh, Annie, thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. Okay, I want to do some exercises that I wrote down in that. Again, this is, please watch the live from last week, which is posted on YouTube. It was all on money. So I want you, when you visualize money, do not visualize paper money. You're never gonna have a whole bunch of paper money in your hands unless you're dealing, okay? Or unless you robbed a bank or something, okay? It's never gonna be all this money that they tell you to visualize, this banknotes. So when you visualize, focus on the lifestyle. Have a very clear lifestyle. Remember, you have to do this exercise where you write 5 pages in your ideal life of a day of how you would live it. And the money follows that lifestyle. Like if you see yourself, like I saw myself years ago when I started this, I saw myself driving a black SUV, an expensive car with leather seats, and my kids in a private school uniform. That's a lifestyle, right? As opposed to envisioning a certain amount of money. The money that I needed for it came. It came. And I had this repeat over and over because I held my attention on this image. Let's get you to school. I love your uniform. I even looked up at the school I wanted to put her in. And, I just had the vision of the uniform exactly the way I wanted. I had the car in my, and I was like, if I can afford that car, if I can afford the school, I don't need to focus on the income because I know for a fact the income will have to be there in order for this to happen. Or I'd win the lottery, or who cares? Who cares where it comes from? Right? In my case, it came from the income. But I think this was way more effective than if I had focused on making X amount of money that I calculated in my head would be needed to do A, B, C, and D. Constant showing up every day. Bella says, I feel like I lack in dedication, commitment for a lot of self-help growth. How do I stay? You lack motivation or commitment, dedication and commitment, because you do not really place a lot of value on you and your life. Really. I give you guys the raw truth. You don't see yourself as deserving of your own time and energy. You'd rather give your time to the Kardashians. You understand? You'd rather give your time to the friend who's complaining about her dating life. You'd rather give your time because you're not so valuable. Your system does not see you as so valuable. Yeah. I'm sorry guys, I don't like to speak with you that way, but this is the reason. This is the reason. You have to put yourself, even as moms, okay? I'm a mom. I have to put my well-being first. It's like the oxygen mask in the airplane. If I'm not okay, if I'm not emotionally okay, if I'm crying, if my mental health isn't there, if my physical health is declining, how can I be there for my child? It makes sense that those things have to be a priority. It only makes sense, right? And then at the end of the day, if there is like 10 minutes for scrolling to see what the celebrities are up to, fine. But that's only after I'm feeling empowered and powerful and good and energetic and beautiful. I've done my beauty routine. I've put everyone to bed. My house looks perfect. Is there time for the Kardashians? Maybe not. Because who comes first? Me. All right. So when you visualize lifestyle, we talked. Replace your language. Pay attention to this because this is something anyone can do. Replace your language 3 times if you see yourself defaulting. So for every negative thing you say, you have to say the opposite 3 times. This is just to create a habit in your mind that you've made the incorrect statement. So let's say people self-deprecate all the time. So people would say, oh God, I'm so stupid. Right away, you catch yourself, you're like, I'm smart, I'm smart, I'm smart. But don't just say it parroting. Just be like, no, I'm not stupid, I'm smart. Yes, I'm smart. Yes, I'm smart. You look in the mirror, oh, God, I'm so fat. No, I'm slim, or I'm perfect, or I'm ideal, whatever makes sense for you to say. And see that image 3 times, okay? Every time you catch yourself in one of these triggers, negative speech about yourself needs to be replaced 3 times with intention, not parroting. Then detach yourself from your current financial situation. We already talked about this. What does it mean, detach yourself? It means you are not your past and current results. You are not your past and current struggles. You are none of this. In fact, you are none of this. You can reinvent yourself every single day. Or if you want to do it with the natural cycle, in our group, I like to do it with every single new moon. We're reinventing. We're leaving the girl that we were before then behind. We're no more. That has nothing to do with the current. You always reinventing yourself. Detach yourself. Okay, I have $100 in the bank, but that has nothing to do with me, with who I am, with my future. With this has nothing to do. It's just a situation, a temporary thing. This is not me. It's not me being worth $100. It's just something that's happened based on what? Based on errors in my thinking, right? That's how I want you to think about it. And then I want you guys to trust that the universe is always changing, always changing. A lot of the times, we think tomorrow's going to be the same as today. Nothing's ever going to change, nothing. But the universe always provides opportunities for change to the people that are actually looking and paying attention and being aware of it, okay? So each day, when you wake up or when you remember, write this down, put it on your computer, like, the bottom of your computer, okay? Just ask yourself, how can I make space for more financial opportunities? And what actions can I take today to increase my financial outcome? Now, I don't want you to wreck your brain thinking about making lists of to-dos or anything. Just put these questions, put them in a sentence the way you would be speaking. Okay, so basically, how can I make space for new financial opportunities? And what actions can I take today to go in that direction? And let the universe show you. But then you got to pay attention. You got to be aware. Okay, you got to be aware. Do you guys have any question about the money? Because this was part 2 on the money thing. Remember, one of our premises in the 60-day challenge, opportunities come to me, opportunities chase me, opportunities are created for me. It's a very important that you repeat these premises and they're imprinted in your mind. Like if I ask anyone in my group in a coaching session, what are the 6 premises? You have to be able to recite them like this. Like this. I told you to recite them before you do your entries every single day. It's very important to believe the opportunities are created for you, and they're created. You don't do anything. Opportunities come to me, opportunities chase me, opportunities are created for me. Every single day. And write these 2 questions on your computer, like on a piece of paper, and put them on your computer on the monitor there. How can I make space for more financial opportunities? And 2, what actions do I need to take today? I'm ready. I'm ready to take actions. But remember, you're not creating the opportunities. The opportunities are created for you. You have to walk the path. It's like a path unfolds in front of you. You have to still walk it. Right? There's always a path that will take you to the clarity of your thought. Again, if in your thought process, the only thing you have clarity on is memories of the past, then you are selecting a future that looks very similar to your past. So what is more clear in your mind? Your past or what you see, where you see yourself in the future? What do you think is more clear in your mind? Until you see the future more clearly than the past, you're going to have more of the past. It's really, I told you guys, it's so simple. It's not easy, right? It's simple, but it's not easy. I was scouted for another job. Literally, they came in the shop to poach me. She was contacted the head office to see if they can give me a wage. Yeah, that's exactly how it will come. That's exactly how my 3D business opportunities came to me. Somebody called me, like I was thinking, I was looking. Then this guy I used to work with, he said, listen, I met with an old contact of mine, and I think you and him would be a match to work together. It wasn't like nobody was offering me anything. He was like, why don't you go for lunch with him? And I was like, okay, I'm going to go for lunch with him. And it worked. It worked, very well. Professionally, I'm talking about. Okay, I'm almost done. I'm done with the money. But I promised somebody in our group that I'm going to read this question that she left in our group. And it wasn't really like a personal question about her, so I couldn't take it during our group coaching session. But it's interesting. So, you know, she's saying, I'm interested in some questions about people in the world who have made such a significant change and had such an impact on collective consciousness, thereby changing this world on a large scale. For example, I don't know if I can read his name or I would be banned, but you know, the guy in Germany, okay, from the 40s, you guys know who he is, who did so many terrible things to people. How did he manage to penetrate the formless substance to the extent that he was supported in changing the world in such a way? Did he believe so strongly in his vision that he was able to influence the world and was supported in all the atrocities? It's easier for me to understand, for example, how people make positive changes in the world if we're talking about great historical figures whose work helped the world develop through certain inventions. But it's harder for me to understand how someone can penetrate the formless substance, overcome the power of collective consciousness to kill because they believe it's right, and then be supported. Okay, so who thinks this is an interesting question? I thought it was an interesting question, and it contains several errors in thinking in this question. Number one, I'm going to tell you right now, it's just as easy to penetrate the formless substance with negative intention than it is with positive intention. And in fact, it is easier to penetrate with negative intention because the collective consciousness currently at this point in time, and definitely during World War II, was negative. So remember, as much as we can choose our future, we cannot choose the collective future of the earth unless we all come together with the same intention. And so the collective future of the earth is whatever is most prominent at that point in time. And with someone with intention, positive and negative, can affect that. But if it's 60% negative, someone with a positive intention needs more support than someone with a negative intention because it's already tipped in the negative. So what she's saying here is really this is an error in thinking, and it's asking the wrong question. Why does the universe not punish the wicked? This is the wrong question to ask. You do not get to contemplate, or you can, but you're going to waste your life doing that and you're not going to achieve anything. Why does the universe work the way it works? And why doesn't the universe work according to my moral code? When you understand the universe is neutral, that anybody can penetrate, and with enough support from perhaps a lot of negativity, and who knows what other entities that you can draw into your focus, okay, to help you, they will help you no matter your intention. No matter your intention, guys. It doesn't matter if you agree this is the way it should be or not, because if it doesn't get through your head that it's neutral, I'm not talking about God. This is why distinction is very important. It's why I do believe people should pray, but I make my lives and my content really for everybody. Okay, so I don't talk about that. When you pray, you bypass the universe. You bypass the formless substance. You're praying to the creator of the formless substance, to the creator of the machine that is neutral. But anybody can penetrate in the neutral, and do anything. This is how voodoo works. Anybody with any intention can penetrate. This is also how miracle healings work. Some people have the ability to penetrate and make positive changes, but they all penetrate. Whether somebody does voodoo or miracle healing on somebody, those are two opposite things. There's people who can penetrate and do those things. And do not spend your time contemplating this question when you're saying it is harder for me to understand how somebody can, and you're even saying can overcome the power of the collective consciousness. You're even making the assumption that the collective consciousness is positive. You don't need much to penetrate. You don't need much. You need a group. The stronger the group, the stronger the intention, the stronger, you know, like when they go negative, they do all these rituals and stuff. You just need concentrated thought, intention, and power. It will sway any which way. Any which way, okay? But the discussion is, what should you do personally? I want you guys to please understand this because it's important. It's important to understand what you're working with. And when you feel powerless, don't hesitate to pray. But you know what I pray for? Other than health for my whole family, for, you know, for the world, for everyone. I really pray for God to remove anything that's distracting me, anything that's stealing my life, my focus, my attention, anything, all the triggers, all. I pray for awareness, and I pray to be in a state of mind where I can see clearly what's going on in this world. Okay, let's put our hands together for the 369. I tap 3 times, 6 times, 9 times. I am a winner. One breath in. I am a winner. 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 I am a winner.